This episode is brought to you by Prime Day, happening now. You don't need to set new world records or compete in a triathlon to feel like a winner. You just need Prime Day. And good news, it's officially here. With 2 days of epic deals on everything from electronics to home goods exclusively for Prime members, you'll feel like a big deal. Shop now at amazon.com/Prime Day.
Ladies, are you ready for some real talk about the ups and downs of dating?
We're three best friends, and every week we talk about hilarious and sometimes heartbreaking dating experiences that listeners write in to share with us.
From swiping right to being ghosted, we've been through it all. But don't worry, our podcast will do its best to turn disasters into life lessons and help you navigate the dating world the way only your best friend can.
And that's not all. We'll also share our experience for finding love, building confidence, and avoiding dating pitfalls.
Along with a healthy dose of pop culture gossip and some true crime when dating really goes wrong.
Whether you're a seasoned dater or just starting out, you'll find a supportive community of friends here on My Worst Date. See you next week, gals.
Cheers!
This is the 223rd episode of Tennis Podcast, and you, listener, are my 223rd favorite person in the world. Tennis Podcast features a new top 10-ish list every week. Either myself or one of my rotating panel of sidekick hosts bring a top 10-ish list. The other doesn't know the list ahead of time, and we go from there. Today, I am once again joined by the spider-loving, video game disc-breaking, man's man of a sidekick host, Stephen Clark.
Hi, everybody. I was almost late. I was snapping a few video game discs right before I hopped on. I almost ran out of time. I lost track of time, actually.
Have you thought about what you're going to do? Currently, you can still buy video game discs, but more and more they're going all digital. So once the games are completely 100% digital and game discs are no longer available, what at that point will you snap when you get frustrated at your game?
I'm way ahead of you. Thought about this a long time ago. You know how you can, on Amazon Prime, you can set up timed deliveries where you order something often enough and it will automatically just ship it to you.
Sure.
I just buy blank discs, blank CDs. They get delivered to me monthly, and I play games on the couch, play games in my room. I have a little stack everywhere I play on hand.
That's actually really smart, but be honest, how many of those game discs do you stack onto your dick? Just be honest.
As many as I can fit, and unfortunately I can't order enough to make that happen.
Well, those game discs, or not the game discs, those blank discs are going to disappear eventually too, and at some point you're just going to have to deal with your anger.
Well, or I can just forget about it, shut it away with all the bad thoughts, just bottle it up, and then hope I don't have to deal with it in some subconscious way.
Pussy shit, that's what I call it.
Yeah, liberal.
Well, Steven, you talked about bottling, and you might be able to buy bottles at Walmart, so if you're listening and you recognize Steven's sultry voice, it's because he was most recently on episode 211, where he guessed the top 10 best-selling products at Walmart. He's also been on a couple Tennis Pod Plus bonus episodes since then. As a reminder, I've known Steven since middle school, and I'm middle happy to have him here today. You've brought me a list today, I hope.
We are doing the top 10 longest organic chemistry compounds.
No, we're not.
By character.
No, not.
So folks at home, what we're doing is like methamphetamine, for example. I did a little bit of that before we hopped on here to record after I was done breaking my discs. But I think that has 15 characters or something like that, letters. So that's what we're doing, but...
Oh, I see. Longest word.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we're not really doing that.
What was the one you... Steven already made this joke off air, so I was prepped and ready for it. But what was the one you told me about? It's a compound name, and it's
It was 138 letters long. In fact, they wouldn't even spell it out. They did the first 20 letters, and then they put ... and then they finished it off with the last 5 letters.
Why do they do that?
They didn't even bother spelling the whole thing. I don't know. It has a common name. It was Wrighton or something. I can't remember what it was, but it had a common name. But if you want to list out every, sub-compound, I guess, within the compound, you have to spell the whole thing out.
Well, it begs the question of why do it at all then, if you're just going to shorten it anyway.
They just call it meth. Move on. We're done.
I know you did truly, I know this was not part of the joke, that you did do meth right before we hit record. So I'm hoping that we have a meth-fueled list today to talk about.
Yep. It's already kicking in. I can feel it. I can feel it behind my eyeballs. No, so what I have is...
That might just be the body elves knocking on
Yeah, that
you.
might be the body elves, actually. So it's topical. I'm going to lead you down the path. So this company has been pretty successful, I feel like, the last month. They've had a really good movie, and also great game.
Nintendo.
Yep. So a game came out recently.
Zelda.
Uh-huh. So what I have for you...
I know you too well.
So what I have for you is the top 10 best-selling Legend of Zelda games
Oh, okay.
by copies sold worldwide, and this is digital and physical. But I guess it doesn't, like, the Switch Online stuff doesn't count, like the Virtual Console and the N64, because that's like a subscription thing.
Sure,
so, like,
right.
I don't think that factors into it. But any game that's come out. And so what I did is a lot of these games have been re-released in like a remade or a remastered version. So what I did is I added all of the re-releases up with the original, and that is the total.
Okay.
You're not going to have 2 copies of some game on this list. It's going to be, if a game was re-released more than once, then I combined all of those sales into one, and then that's where it falls on the list.
And what's your source? Nintendo themselves?
So I had a few sources. There was one, Nintendo.com, and then I had VG Charts, and then I had a little bit from Wikipedia for like some little tidbit information about the games. And then there's another website called Shack News. I don't know how...
Shack News? You think Shaquille
Yeah.
O'Neal runs that one?
He does. It's actually spelled with a Q, believe it or not. It's really not. But no, I was checking across multiple sites, and everything was lining up, so I'm pretty confident in the numbers. And they make sense when I'm looking at them.
How many Legend of Zelda games have there been? So combined, like I know because some of them have re-releases.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about ones that are re-released, I have 26.
Holy shit!
Now there's some like weird little off games like Hyrule Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's not on this list. These are like mainstream, straight from the source,
Mainline series.
mainline series games.
Explain to the folks at home, because I know this about you. You're a big Legend of Zelda fan, and I like the games too, although I haven't played all of them, and I'm not nearly as well-versed as you are. So just what's your overall thoughts on Zelda? Where does it rank for you personally, etc.? What do you think of the new game too?
I love Zelda. I love the new game too. Right now, I think Zelda is like one of the very, very few franchises out there that doesn't release a bad game.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be a hot take, but there were some other companies that used to be that way. Like Fallout used to be that way for me, but then they released something that I didn't like, Fallout 76, and I thought Fallout 4 was kind of, I don't know, wasn't as good as New Vegas. But so like some companies have released bad games or really buggy games when it comes out or whatever. But
Halo.
Legend of Zelda is very consistent. Yeah, Halo used to be on top of its game at one point, but now it's, I don't know, no one talks about that franchise anymore. 343 really messed it up, I think. But I love Zelda, grew up on it. It was one of the first big 3D games I played were Super Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time, and I loved both of them.
For the folks at home that might not be as familiar with the Zelda universe, can you give us, maybe you have this, maybe you don't, but just in your own words, like a synopsis of the story and the gameplay and just...
Yeah, Zelda is some guy who runs around with a green hat and swings a sword at shit.
That's what everyone thinks. I remember I was talking to my wife about The Legend of Zelda, and yeah, she, just like everyone else, thought Zelda was the elf, the main character, but not true.
Yeah, common mistake, I guess. It's a rough overview. Is the gist of it is there's a bad guy named Ganon, and it always circles around a Triforce, which are it's like a 3-triangled icon, I guess, but each triangle within the large triangle represents an aspect of something. And the villain always has power, and the hero, Link, always has courage, and Zelda, the princess, always has wisdom. And basically, Link and Zelda have to team up in some way to try to defeat Ganon. And that is a rough overview of the way the game works.
Yep. I think I'm going to do well on this list.
You think so?
I think so. In fact, I'm going to 100% it. I'm not going to get a single guess wrong. I'm going to get it in correct order as well.
So there are some surprises because games are combined. I will also say that this information is very current. The data was pulled like a week ago.
Mm-hmm. And we're recording this in May 2023.
Yeah, May 2023.
Yep. Before we get started real quick, I meant to read this earlier, but I have a simple request for everyone listening to my voice right now on Spotify. Spotify listeners, pick up your phone, look at your screen. On the top left of our page on Spotify, there's a little star icon. Tap that and rate us 5 stars. It takes literally 1 second and it gives me a big ol' appreciation boner. Thank you.
We all like appreciation boners.
Well, some of us just like boners, period. And that's fine too.
Mm.
I like my own boner. That's pretty much where it ends for me and boners.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Nobody else does, but I'm sure you like it a lot.
Zelda might.
Yeah.
So Zelda, I would say second only to Mario as far, well, I'll take that back. I'd say Mario and Pokemon are the two like poster children for Nintendo.
Yeah.
Zelda would be third. Well then, why don't I give you a guess? So
I'm wondering if you can guess 10. I'm wondering if you can go 10 through 1.
fuck. Well, you know what? Normally I would guess a list like this blind, but let me just pull up. I think that's allowed.
Here we go. Cheating already. Look at that guy. I'm going to nail this list. I'm going to do so well. Hang on, let me get a list in front of me so I can cheat real quick, because I don't know.
It's not cheating to look at the names of the games, Steven.
Okay.
There's a lot of them. There's 26 of the sumbitches. I gotta... Okay, here we go. What is number 10? All right, I'll say the original The Legend of Zelda.
You nailed it, actually. That is number 10.
Is it really? Are you
it
fucking
is.
with me?
That's number 10. Nope, it is.
I knew it.
Coming in at 6.51 million copies sold. I also did my own little personal ranking on where these fall, and I put this one at number 9 for me. I don't even remember it that well, but this one is where that popular meme came from with It's Dangerous to Go Alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I also had a couple little tidbits here that Shigeru Miyamoto has designed this game to be the killer app for the Famicom system. And I didn't know what the Famicom system was. Do you know what that is?
I remember, I think we talked about this on that Nintendo episode. I vaguely know what it is, but not really.
Yeah, so the Famicom is the NES, but they released it in Japan, and it was called the Famicom for the family computer. And then whenever they sold it in America, they re-advertised it, and they called it the Nintendo Entertainment System. And so the Famicom came out in 1983, and then the NES came out in 1985.
So that's interesting. So then after 85, I assume that the Famicom was no longer sold in Japan, and it was also just the NES there as well, right?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if they changed what they called it in Japan or if they just did something different here. Because I know there was a lot of kind of turmoil for a little while in America because like this market was getting so saturated and nobody wanted to buy video game consoles anymore. And so Nintendo, I think, packaged this with like Rob, who's that little robot. You might know him from Smash Brothers. But they repackaged it and sold it with that Rob and didn't market it as like a video game system. It was an entertainment system. And it came with like a little toy robot with it and everything. And so that was to try to, I guess, trick us stupid Americans into
it really is
some
stupid.
More bullshit.
Because like today you could make that argument, right? Like an Xbox or a PlayStation is an entertainment system. It's more than just video games. But back in the fucking 80s, it was literally just the video game system and no other functions on it.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Well, Zelda, the very first one was released in 1986 in North America.
And of course, The Legend of Zelda, the first game, has the first appearance of the iconic Zelda theme.
Very catchy.
I played it recently.
Well, that's all I got on that one. I played this one, but a very, very long time ago, and I haven't had an itch to go back to it, so.
Well, the new Zeldas obviously are very, I don't even know what you'd call them. They're obviously not a platformer. They're just like an open world kind of game.
Zelda's always been kind of an open world game. Like that was part of what made it. It wasn't a side scroller thing like Mario, although there have been some Zelda games that were side scroller, but for the most part, all of them started as like a top down, move wherever you want kind of style. And then once you hit the Nintendo 64, everything went to like the 3D, and I don't think they ever went back.
Yeah.
To the top down. Well, they went back to the top down version a couple of times, but it was hasn't been as prominent for sure.
No, not like you and your fucking ass, which has been more prominent, especially today. So,
Well,
so far I'm batting 100 on guessing this
So
list
far.
in order, just like I said.
yeah, you'll
Are you
trip,
impressed?
and
Are
then
you
I'm going to
impressed?
laugh when you stumble.
All right.
Number 9, Mr. Hotshot. Let's see it.
I'm going to guess that I really want to get this right. I'll go ahead and guess Zelda 2, Adventure of Link as number 9.
You are a dumb son of a bitch.
Minish Cap was my other one. Was it Minish Cap?
No, neither of those are in the top 10. Zelda 2
Okay.
sold 4.38 million copies, and Legend of Zelda sold 6.51.
Okay. Then I'll go A Link to the Past.
A Link to the Past. So you skipped a couple.
Well, I must be
You're
looking
batting
at
100. That's falling apart real quick, isn't it?
No.
Link to the Past was the third one. That was the first one to come out on the SNES, the Super Nintendo,
Mhm.
and that one sold 7.43 million copies. Now it has
I'll
kind
put
of
it at number 8.
putting in number 7.
Number 7. I knew it.
Yep. And it has been re-released. It came out on the Game Boy Advance in 2002, and I played the hell out of that. A Link to the Past was the first Zelda game I ever played, and it's my second favorite Zelda ever.
It still has the style of the original, correct?
Yeah, well, it's still the top down. It's like the
Mhm.
sprite, and you're moving. It's top down, but the game was just very big, and there was a lot to it. And you think you've beaten it, and then you all of a sudden go to the Dark World, which is it's the same map, but a whole nother side of it. So it like doubled the size of the game, and there was a lot to do. There were a lot of different dungeons, a lot of different items, a lot of different little secrets.
Well, it came out in 91, although
Yep.
obviously we were babies back then. So yeah,
we
you-
were
you played-
babies.
Mhm.
I had a Super Nintendo, but I kind of got into that late, and then I got that game late. I didn't even want it. I didn't even know what the hell it was. I remember we bought it at a garage sale or something, and there already was a save file on it. And I started playing, and I was just right in the middle of the game, and I had no idea what the hell was going on. I thought it was hard when I was younger. It was hard to figure out.
It's definitely not like a Mario game, where a Mario game is pretty accessible to almost anyone,
Yeah.
regardless of your skill level. Zelda is a little more, I guess you could, like, almost anyone could play those early Zeldas, but they're definitely trickier than a Mario game.
There's a lot of puzzles in it, and that's what I always liked about it, were the dungeons with the puzzles, and you gotta like kind of be creative and think about how you're gonna solve this puzzle and get through the dungeon. And it's just kind of, I don't know, I really like that play style. It's fun, it's engaging. Mario's fun too, but it's almost like all you can do is just make it harder. I guess harder to like
Mhm.
reaction time and jumping and things like that. But Zelda's different. Zelda's more like a creative thinking kind of approach.
Yeah, which is a wonder why you enjoy it, because I thought you'd like the stupider games.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No.
Nothing?
No, you got me. You
Got
got me
him.
good. Burned.
Have you played this one recently?
Yeah, I've replayed this one a lot.
I'm curious because obviously it's a very different game than the more recent Zelda games. Almost unrecognizable. And you have some of the core themes there, like the puzzle elements and all that, but it's just a completely different game. But yet you think it still holds up as one of your favorites. Like, how much of that is nostalgia versus like the quality of the game? You see what I mean?
It's a little bit of both. I think that if you go and look best Zelda games ever, objective, it's hard to say because, this game was released so long ago. But right now, it's kind of popular, I think, for older style games like Octopath Traveler, like to take that
That's
old
true.
sprite style and remake it and re-release it today. And I still think that if that game came out today, maybe not as like a flagship release for a company, but like if an indie company or something released that game, I think it would be pretty well received today.
Yeah.
For its time, it was very, very good.
Yeah, and you make a good point about like Octopath Traveler, and I see a ton of indie games in that style right now.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
That's true. Hey, you. Yeah, you. I see you. You're rubbing at your eyes. You're struggling to focus. You've seen better days, let's be honest. But don't worry because I'm here to help. Here's a pro life hack I've discovered that helps me feel more well rested, more energized, and more in control of my health. It's AG1 by Athletic Greens. 1 scoop in a glass of ice water once a day, and I'm ready to take on the day, no matter which sidekick host I have to drag across the finish line that day. AG1's all-in-one formula makes it easy for me to cover my nutritional bases every day because every scoop is packed with 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food source ingredients of the highest quality that give me major benefits like gut and mood support, boosted energy, and even healthier looking skin, hair, and nails. Oh, baby. AG1 has been part of millions of mornings since 2010, and now it's your turn. If you're looking for an easier way to take supplements, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/tennis. That's athleticgreens.com/10ish. Check it out. You won't be disappointed.
Why?
Why?
If you have T-Mobile 5G home internet, you might be hearing this
Why?
a lot.
Why?
Every time your internet slows down during the busiest hours.
Why?
Why?
Because your network gives priority to cell phone users.
Why?
Good question. Why not switch to Cox Internet with 2 times faster download speeds than T-Mobile 5G home internet during peak hours?
Okay.
Stop the whys and visit cox.com/5G home for details. T-Mobile prioritizes certain T-Mobile phone users over home internet users during times of congestion.
Fear is the virus is trending on TikTok. Vaccines are poison. Then your yoga teacher says that sex-trafficked children are being sacrificed by satanic liberals, but it's all okay. The Great Awakening is coming. What is happening? Every week on Conspirituality Podcast, we explore the fever dreams that suck friends, family, and wellness gurus down the right-wing cult spiral in a search for salvation.
Should I correctly guess my third straight in a row?
Yeah, sure. So your sixth guess that you've fumbled a lot on, let's go ahead and hit that up. I wonder if you can get number 9.
Well, I'm actually going to go with number 6 on this, and that's Skyward Sword.
It is.
Come on.
Number 6 is Skyward Sword.
No. I need you to walk that back, apologize to me, and congratulate me.
No, you're really doing it's like a sine wave right now. Like you've got peaks and you've got valleys, and we're coming on the valley here in a minute. I can already smell it.
All right.
Skyward Sword, here we go. So 7.58 units.
They
This
only
game-
sold 7.5 games?
Yeah, only 7.5 games. And if you're folks at home, if you're wondering how they sold half a game, it's because they brought me in to break the disc for them. And that was only half.
That's cute, Steven. I like that.
2011, it came out on the Wii and the Wii U, I think, at the same time. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I'm mistaken. It was only on the Wii. Skyward Sword was only on the Wii because it was strictly the motion controls, which is what held it back for me a lot back then, because the motion controls with the original Wiimotes were really wonky. But then they re-released it in 2021 on the Switch.
How is it? The remake.
It's good. I like it. I have it as number 7 for me personally on this list. It's not a bad Zelda, it's just not a great one. I remember the thing that stuck out to me as most memorable about this game was, and they always try to come up with cool little gimmicks, I guess, in every game, but there was a little device that you could carry around, and everything within a radius of you would go back in time, like 1,000 years or something. And you went onto this huge, vast desert, and it was just all desert, all sand. And then you got in this boat and activated the device in the boat. And everything within like a 20-foot radius around you went back 1,000 years, and it was water. Because 1,000 years ago, this desert was actually an ocean. And so like you would sail, but you're sailing in a desert, but everything within 20 feet of you is reverted back in time to like water. So it's just really cool concept. That was what was most memorable to me about that game. Really cool idea.
That innovative gameplay and also the story that weaves throughout the whole series is really good too.
Yeah, Skyward Sword was after they invented that timeline and tried to connect Zelda in this, like, how things happen, because every Zelda, like, Link and Zelda get reincarnated by the gods because they can never kill Ganon. He's too powerful. So all they can do is, like, seal him away for hundreds of years. And then eventually he comes back. And so the gods kind of will it so that Link and Zelda are reincarnated so that they can stop Ganon whenever he is revived again. But Skyward Sword was supposed to be the first game in the timeline. It's kind of how the Legend of Zelda story started.
Let me ask you something. Side question. Zelda and Link, have they fucked? Do they fuck every time they're reincarnated? And what's Ganon's role in all this fucking?
Some of these re-releases have come out with an R rating and triple X rating. For some, you got to pay a little extra for that. Nintendo knows how to milk you for all you're worth because they know what the people want.
I think Link and Zelda are probably fucking and Ganon's probably watching. But that's just a hunch.
He's recording with a camera.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of funny you asked that because in Skyward Sword, that's where they first hinted at a relationship between Link and Zelda. Because most of the games, there's no romantic interest. Really, for the most part, you're trying to, it's almost like Princess Peach. Like, she's locked away, and you don't play the game with her. You're trying to, like, go and save her. And so you never really, like, are side by side with Zelda. But in Skyward Sword, when the story starts, you two, like, it kind of pretty heavily hints that there's a thing, an interest. They're not dating, but that they like each other.
Every time they're reincarnated, they kind of have to rediscover each other, right?
Yeah. I mean, it kind of varies game to game. But yeah, they don't know that who each other is, but then they find out through fate, you know?
Right, part of God's plan.
So yeah, it's all part of God's plan.
Steven, do you think it's possible that right now, you and I, Nick and Steven talking to each other, that we are reincarnations of our past selves and that it was fate for us to get back together on this podcast?
It is. And unfortunately, I think Dr. Buster is the Ganon here, who always just keeps coming back. And
got the ass of it, Ganon, that's for sure.
It's up to you and I to stop him. Yeah, that Triforce of Power, he has it tattooed right on his ass cheek.
Yeah, the booty clapping together, that's what activates the power. I'm with you. I agree. Yeah. Okay, so I got Legend of Zelda, the original, at number 10, A Link to the Past at 7, and Skyward Sword at 6.
That's correct.
I'm going to go...
Are you going to go to 5 or are you going to go back to 9?
Well, let me look through the titles here and I'll tell you. Twilight Princess. I'm trying to decide where that falls because that would be GameCube with a remake on the Wii U, maybe? Twilight Princess, I'll say, is number 5.
Right again.
You gotta give me some credit, Steven. You are being so nondiscreet about this.
I want to give you credit. I desperately want to give you credit. But when you're just sitting there staring at a list and going, which of these games, I mean, well, also when you're looking at the list, you can see how many times the game has been re-released. So that's kind of leading you along too. I don't know.
They've all been re-released. Pretty much.
Not all of them. Not all of them. Hey, the original Legend of Zelda hasn't.
Even if you can't bring yourself to acknowledge that I'm doing so well, I know the listeners know, so it's all right. Go ahead. Twilight Princess number 5.
Twilight Princess number 5, 9.85 million copies sold. This was the one that I was getting confused with Skyward Sword. This one came out on the GameCube and the Wii at the same time. And then they re-released it on the Wii U as a remastered version.
I have actually not played this one, but I feel like I never hear about it. I don't feel like it's one of the revered ones. Maybe you'll correct me on that. But I think it's kind of a middle-of-the-road one as far as player reception to it. However, I think part of the reason it's so high on this list is because of the Wii, which was the highest-selling Nintendo console ever, or home console ever. I think the Switch might have actually beat it by now, but whereas the Wii U's exclusive games aren't going to do as well as a game that came out on the Wii.
Right. And you're right, this game is kind of forgotten about a little bit. It's my number 4. I personally had a really hard time trying to rank 2, 3, and 4. But Twilight Princess, it's funny because, and since you're looking at the list, I'll go ahead and say this game. So the Wind Waker came out before this one, and the Wind Waker was on the GameCube only. And it went with like the very cartoony style graphics, and it wasn't like very well received at the time. Because, you know, you had like getting to more of a realistic looking game with what the N64 had, and then GameCube came out and it looked like a cartoon. Kind of got tough reception at the time. And then when Twilight Princess came out after Wind Waker, it was the exact opposite. That was like a very realistic graphic style, and it was hyped up more, I felt like, than Wind Waker. But now, fast forward, like, I mean, how long has it been? 10 years? 20 years?
20 years since Wind Waker.
This one came out in 2006. Yeah, so it's almost been 20 years later. Wind Waker, I think, is more remembered well and received well today, whereas today I feel like everyone kind of forgets about Twilight Princess. So just kind of goes to show the graphics aren't everything. But this one's kind of interesting. It's weird. It's you start the game and then you get kind of teleported into a Twilight world is what it's called. But whenever you go, you transform into a wolf. And you get all of the abilities of a wolf, like you have a heightened sense of smell. you can smell like a piece of fabric from somebody, and then you have to, like, if you're trying to find them, you will see the trail and you have to smell the trail out and go follow them. But the whole game, there's this little character called Midna riding you the whole game, and you don't know who she is or what she is. And then
Midna's riding me? Okay.
Yeah, she's riding you. This is where the XXX comes in.
Just being clear. All right.
But no, she's riding you, and then spoiler alert, but at the end of the game, you find out she's actually like the princess of the Twilight Realm, and the same way that Zelda is the princess of like the real world. You would have had no idea until like you get to the end of the game, and it's revealed to you.
I had no idea that Zelda was on MTV's The Real World, but that makes me appreciate her even more.
It's a good episode. Ganon shows up for a minute, her father shows up, and it kind of gets wild, but I'll let the viewers go track down that episode, and
yeah. And Link's just off in the corner jerking off.
Yep.
I thought that was weird that they showed that.
Oh, it was the first game in the series to receive a teen rating.
That must have been all the sex with Midna, or whatever her name was.
Yeah, that was where they hinted at it. And then in the re-releases downstream where you get the first XXX rating, that's where you get the hardcore.
The hardcore. They're like, yeah, there's lots of toys and instruments and tossing salad, like all their stuff. Yeah.
Plenty of that.
Okay. And we're here for it. Wind Waker at number 8 is my guess. And I would think it's higher since it has a remake, except the remake came out on the Wii U, which is one of the least selling Nintendo home consoles there is. So that's why I'm putting it at 8.
I'm telling you guys, he's cheating. He's not only looking at a list of the games, he's looking at a list of the sales of the games, and
I'm not looking at the
here
sales.
Thinking, what do I want to do? He's just doing the mental math.
You just can't accept. See, I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't, because if I don't guess well, then I get made fun of by you and say, oh, you're going in one of those valleys again. But if I guess well, then, oh, he's cheating. So which is it, Steven?
You're cheating. That's what it is.
Okay.
Wind Waker is number 8, and Wind Waker sold 6.8 million units.
I played this one on the Wii U.
The Wii U is really good.
I like the cartoon style.
Yeah, I love the style. And the thing is about that style is it ages well. Like it doesn't, like since they're not trying to be realistic, you can be cartoony with it. It's an art style, and it's almost like Borderlands. Like no one would say Borderlands has amazing graphics, but that cell shading style is kind of timeless in a way, and it doesn't have to be, hyper realistic.
True that.
I have it at number 6 for me. I do really like it. The only thing that brings it down is I think that the sailing is kind of, I don't know, there's a little bit too much of it. Sometimes you're really just sitting there for a long time. And even in the remake where I think they added a new item where wind will always follow you. Because something that's really creative about that game is you had to sail, but obviously the sail would only go in the direction the wind's blowing. So you got a little device to control the wind. And so if you needed to sail east, you could play a little tune and you'll start sailing east. But it kind of sucked because every time you wanted to change direction and go somewhere else, you had to stop the boat, get out the item, do the little song, watch the animation, get the wind going the other way, and now get back on the boat and go. And then if you wanted to turn to the right, now you got to do it all over again. So it kind of does get tedious.
Well, Steven, someone spent months of their career perfecting that animation for your enjoyment, and you're just sitting here bitching about it.
Hey, it's great. Like I said, it's my number 6. It's just, that's one of the things that can get tedious about it. But in the new one, you can get a special sail where the wind is just always at your back. Wherever you aim the boat, the wind will automatically shift and do what it needs to, which is a great quality of life improvement. It definitely takes out the tediousness of the having to change direction all the time.
If only we could do that in real life. Everyone that's ever sailed a boat could just
think about where we'd be. How would that work? If you got a bunch of people out there, everyone's all controlling the wind and moving in their own directions, you're going to,
what?
You think you got to start making like some hurricanes or something. If you get enough big boats out there, enough people, millions of people out there trying to control the wind in their own way.
Millions? You don't need millions.
Chaos.
You need a bunch of boats, yes, but a bunch of big boats. So it's in the thousands, maybe not the millions. Wind is controlled.
Nick, you obviously haven't lived in America because everybody wants their own car. Nobody wants a giant train system that carries multiple people. Everyone wants their own automobile. So now everyone's got to have their own boat.
Depends where you live. But
yeah, I agree.
Your larger point is taken. But luckily, we don't have to worry about this because we'll probably never live in a world where wind is just controlled by the direction your body is facing.
Hey,
only for you.
Don't underestimate science. Give them like 5 years. They'll figure it out.
And what happens if two boats are passing each other and the wind's going the same, opposite direction?
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're going to start making little tornadoes? You get enough people doing it? I mean,
That's what Link's doing with all his flute playing in Wind Waker, right?
It's funny you say that because there are like some creatures out there that are creating these tornadoes. There's a frog and he's riding on a cloud and he's causing a whole bunch of fucking bad weather. You got to get in there and whoop his ass.
Fuck, you mean in the game? I thought you meant in
This
real
isn't
life.
the game.
I was like,
No.
A frog? Well, I haven't heard about this.
Well, both. I mean, you never know. There may be some frogs on clouds out there. We'll never know.
I don't know if we'll never know, but
Hey, we're still discovering shit down in the ocean. Who's to say there's not more shit to discover up in the sky?
well, yeah, but nothing's living on the clouds because you can't sit on a cloud. A cloud is just air. You just go right through it.
These frogs can, and that's why no
Alright.
one's found them, because everyone's just accepted, no, you can't sit on clouds, so no one's looking. That's what the frog's counting on, people.
That's what the frog is counting on. Okay, everyone got that? The frogs can sit on the clouds, and we haven't seen them because no one's looking for them. And the frog's counting on the fact that we're not looking for them. All right.
Like one of my bosses used to say, we don't know what we don't know.
That's beautiful.
I know, it's very poetic. He also used to say, he would say the funniest thing. I can't remember if I told you about this guy, but he wouldn't say Jesus Christ. He would say cheese and rice.
Yeah.
And he would say it like so seriously. He won't say fuck, he says fudge. He won't say cocksucker, he says cockroach. And so he'll say, oh, cheese and rice. That is such a fudging big deal. That's the way he would talk. And he would talk like that all the
Doesn't
time.
that just defeat the whole purpose? Because both him and the people listening to him know what it's a replacement for. All you're doing is drawing attention.
That guy is a cockroach.
Just
That's
fucking
what he would
stupid. Oh, okay.
He was an older guy.
If you use language like that instead of just the actual cuss words, then just unsubscribe from the show because we need less of you in this world and not more.
Yeah, get the hell out of here.
Words only have power when you give them power, and when you do that, you give those words more power than they otherwise would have. So anyway, I'm going to guess for number 9 is Link's Awakening.
Oh, here we go. Now this is the valley.
Oh, shit.
This is the valley. He's wrong, people. That's not number 9. But do you think Link's...
Okay, so
is that
it's on
one of
here,
your guesses, though?
Well,
It is on here.
It's got to be 4.
No.
3.
Yes.
I knew it.
This is the biggest surprise to me. When I
I'm
put together
surprised.
this list, it is the biggest surprise. So this game was originally released in 1993, and it was the first Zelda game to come out on the Game Boy.
Oh, it's not even SNES?
Nope,
Wow.
it's not. Came out on the Game Boy. 1993, sold 3.83 million. Then they re-released it on the Game Boy Color, and it was Link's Awakening DX, and that's the one that I played. That sold 2.22 million. And then they just recently re-released it on the Switch in 2019.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And it had like the chibi style, it was actually pretty well received. So adding all that together, that puts you at the 12.13 million copies.
I forgot about the Switch remake. And so that's the same game, but it's like a completely new skin on it. Is that right?
Yeah, it's just a remaster. They took a new art style, but it is the exact same game.
Real quick, going back, you mentioned the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color. Isn't it crazy that the Game Boy Color was just 25 years ago? 25 years ago, video games were at a point where the big selling point was, look, guys, these games have color on the... It's just like wild. And now look at what we have to play with.
And what's amazing is that it wasn't backlit, ran on batteries. I remember I had to get a little attachment. It was like a little U shape and it had a light on it, so
Yep,
you could
I
plug
had
it
the
into
same.
the side and have a little light on it.
So you could see it because you couldn't see it at night.
When I was little, it drove me crazy. I mean, I get it now because you can't see when you're playing it when it's night outside. And so I'll be riding in the van. My mom is driving, and I want to play, but it's dark. So I turn on the light in the van so I can play.
your
And then
mom
she
would get
says, "I
mad.
can't see. I can't see." Yeah, she says, "Turn it off. I can't see what I'm doing."
Moms, am I right?
Moms, if you're a mom, just no, don't do that.
Subscribe. But yeah, that was my dad for me. But yes, the parents don't like the lights in the car. And now as a parent, I kind of get it. But
Yeah, I kind of get it.
yeah.
So a funny little fact about this game, it featured Bow Wow, which is the chain chomp from Mario. He's in there. You can actually pick him up and carry him around. You have to use him for some of the missions.
Chain chomp?
The huge black metal ball with teeth,
Yeah,
and it has
in
like
Mario.
a chain on it. Yeah,
Why didn't they
in
just
Mario.
call him Chain Chomp then? Why'd they change his name for Zelda?
Hey, you're not playing Mario. You're playing Zelda, bub.
It's all part of the Nintendo multiverse.
Yeah, we'll see if they do a multiverse Nintendo movie. Personally, I'm hoping for a Zelda. I want to see a Zelda movie, and I want to see Luigi's Mansion.
They will for sure make a Zelda movie. I'm less confident about Luigi's Mansion, but Zelda, I think, is a matter of time. And Link's Awakening, is it on your personal list of favorites?
Put it on 8. on this list.
Is it worth getting on the Switch for a casual Zelda player like me?
Yeah, I think it's great. So I personally don't like playing a lot of games handheld on the Switch. 99% of the time I want it docked and I want to play it docked. But this game is one of the games that works really well handheld and I almost don't even mind it.
So you're a snob, is what I'm hearing. A video game snob?
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a snob. It's got a really weird story. You have to like gather all of these instruments so that you can play a song for an egg that's like on top of a volcano and then a fucking whale hatches out of it. But, you get past that and you got a great story. This is one of the games that doesn't have like Zelda and stuff in it though. This one's a little different. Like you wake up on a beach and you don't know your name, you don't know who you are, and there's no Zelda, there's no Ganon. It's kind of its own little story.
Oh, it's not even called. Oh, yes, it is. I was going to say it's not called Legend of Zelda, but it is. So that's misleading, first of all.
It's Link's Awakening. He's waking up.
I know, but that's the subtitle. The title is The Legend of Zelda.
My man's groggy. Cut him a break.
I gotta go back to
some coffee.
Whale on the volcano. When he hatches, wouldn't he just fall into the volcano? But I'm guessing his ass doesn't.
No. He flies.
Fuck you with that. He flies.
You're gonna tell me there's a fucking egg on top of a volcano and you play a song with like 10 different instruments and it hatches and you're gonna tell me that thing is it's not gonna be magical? Come on.
I don't know, Steven. Sometimes I just don't know.
It's a kooky one, that's for sure.
I got a kooky guess for you. I was wondering if I should guess this because, okay, so we are recording this just a few weeks after Tears of the Kingdom came out. But I'm wondering if it's sold quickly enough to be number 9 on this list.
Is Tears of the Kingdom your guess at 9?
So what am I missing? The big ones I'm missing are Breath of the Wild, Ocarina of Time.
We could do a quick recap. Do you want to do a quick recap for the folks at home? All right, so you got number 10. That's the first Legend of Zelda. You don't have 9 yet. You got 8, Wind Waker, 7, A Link to the Past, 6, Skyward Sword, 5, Twilight Princess. You're missing 4. 3 is Link's Awakening. You're missing 2, and you're missing 1.
So I have 4 left. So I think, I'm going to say Tears of the Kingdom is on here.
It is on here.
9.
Do you want to guess the number? 9? No. It's number 4.
See, I assume eventually it'll be number 1 or 2, but it's just so new, I didn't think it'd be 4
it
already.
Likely will.
Yeah.
This game is the fastest selling Zelda game ever. And in the first, I can't remember, I think it was the first weekend, it was 10 million, which is the number that I have it at right now. Right now, it's probably more, but it has sold 10 million copies.
Yeah, so this is a living list. But yeah, as of this time, Tears of the Kingdom number 4.
Yep.
I guess I shouldn't be surprised. Breath of the Wild was so well received by everyone. It was actually one of the first Zelda games I played. I went back and played other ones after that. But yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself. So Tears of the Kingdom, I have not played it yet. I'm going to play it. Steven tells me it's great, and it's number 4 on this list already.
It's number 4. I didn't rank this one. That's why my rankings are going through 9. I don't want to rank it yet because I haven't finished it yet. I still feel like I've barely scratched the surface of this game. But I got to say, right now, I'm blown away. I love it. It's better than Breath of the Wild.
Really?
Yep. If it finishes as strongly as it started, then it will be my number 1 favorite Zelda. And I don't have any reason to think why it won't finish as strongly as it started. So, everybody, it's great. You should give it a shot.
It has, essentially the same mechanics as Breath of the Wild. Same, basic gameplay. So
it is Breath of the Wild.
Just a bigger, newer map?
So it's the exact same graphic style as Breath of the Wild. Everything's the same. It's the same game, but it's also not. They added so much to it. It is literally twice the size of Breath of the Wild, if not more. And Breath of the Wild was already huge. It has astounded me how big this game is, and what's great, I think the reason is because Breath of the Wild released on Wii U and Switch at the same time, and so I think Nintendo kind of had to hold themselves back a little bit to make it fit and work on the Wii U. But now those restrictions are gone, and so I think that Nintendo really just expanded on what they had. And I don't know if it's true, but I think I read that this game was ready to release a year ago, but they wanted to spend a year polishing it and just fine-tuning it and making sure it was perfect. Overall, it is Breath of the Wild, looks just like it, but the world is much bigger and the story is different and the abilities are different. So
Nintendo has a great track record of game development. Their games are usually pretty solid as far as performance and all that goes.
Oh God, another advertisement. Dr. Buster here, and ads make me so angry. Well, that's why my therapist suggested that I join Tinish Pod Plus. Tinish Pod Plus helps me with my anger issues because I never ever have to hear ads on a Tinish podcast episode. And that's true. That is a bona fide claim, folks. I forget that there's even ads on Tinish Podcast because I haven't heard them for so long. Join me on the new and improved Tinish Pod Plus to never hear an ad like this one again. Not only will this help with your well-documented anger issues, but it will also help you with your impatient nature because Tinish Pod Plus members get early access to all new episodes. That episode you're listening to right now, me and other Tinish Pod Plus members already listened days ago. Now, if that's not enough for you, Tinish Pod Plus can also cure your FOMO, fear of missing out. Members get new and exclusive bonus episodes every month. There's already about 60 bonus episodes available now. What are you doing? Why have you delayed? Including the top 10 best-selling liquor brands, the life and times of Donald Trump, Seinfeld character drafts, Dr. Buster taking BuzzFeed quizzes, and more. There are other membership benefits too, like free merch, free swag, and if you sign up for the new Peanut Butter Fiend membership plan, my personal favorite, you'll also get to pick the top 10 list on an upcoming episode. You'll unlock access to a monthly blooper reel, watch uncut video versions of every week's episodes, and more. Signing up is now easier than ever. In just a few taps, in about 10 seconds or less, you too can solve all of your life problems by joining Tinish Pod Plus. Plans start at just $2.99 and come with a free 7-day trial. Hey, you get to take it for a test drive, baby. Sign up now at tinishpod.com/plus or in the Apple Podcasts app. Check the show notes for direct links. Now it's time for you to sit through even more ads since you're not a Tinish Pod Plus member yet.
Why?
If you have T-Mobile 5G home internet, you might be hearing this
Why?
a lot.
Why?
Every time your internet slows down during the busiest hours.
Why?
Because your network gives priority to cell phone users.
Why?
Good question. Why not switch to Cox Internet with 2 times faster download speeds than T-Mobile 5G home internet during peak hours?
Okay.
Stop the whys and visit cox.com/5G home for details. T-Mobile prioritizes certain T-Mobile phone users over home internet users during times of congestion.
Overwhelmed by investing?
If you're anything like us, the hardest part is getting started. That's why we created the Investing for Beginners podcast.
Our goal is to help simplify money so it can work for you.
We invite guests to demystify investing.
At least like the minimum 10% into the 401k.
I'm Dave Ahern.
And I'm Andrew Sather.
And we hope you join us on the Investing for Beginners podcast.
All right.
Tears of the Kingdom on its way to number 1, but not number 1 yet. That means that I know what number 1 has to be then. So I need Majora's Mask, which is N64. Ocarina of Time is also N64. They've both been remade. I'm going to say Ocarina of Time is 2.
You would be right.
Knew it.
Ocarina of Time total has sold 14 million. So when it first came out on the Nintendo 64 in 1998, it sold 7.6 million copies. But then the big re-release, the big one was on the 3DS, and that one sold a little over 6 million on its own. And the 3DS version is great. I like it more than the N64. There's just some quality of life stuff that they changed. But Ocarina of Time, big deal, very well received. I mean, when you ask people what the best Zelda game ever is, this one is usually up there on that list.
Well,
first 3D Zelda.
Real quick, when me and Alex Johns did the top 10 most critically acclaimed video games of all time, this was number 1, Ocarina of Time.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's up there. It's number 3 on my list, but Ocarina of Time is phenomenal. Really good game. I think it still holds up today.
Would you believe I've never played it?
Really?
Yeah. I hear people talk about it all the time, and I'll play Ocarina of Time someday, and I hear it's great.
Had really cool time traveling concepts where there's a particular dungeon where you had to go and do some things as a kid, and then you go back, pull the Master Sword, you become an adult, 7 years, fast forwards, and then the things that you did as a kid had impacts as an adult. Really cool little gameplay stuff like that.
That's pretty ahead of its time for 1998 video gaming.
Yeah, pretty advanced for. I mean, there were some Super Nintendo games that kind of did the same thing. I think Chrono Trigger is kind of that way. But yeah, it really, really solid, great game.
So I looked up. I remember doing this too on the critically acclaimed video game episode I mentioned a minute ago. But I looked up the ocarina. What is an ocarina to refresh my memory? And it is a vessel flute, Steven.
Yep.
So anytime you want to handle my vessel flute, you're welcome to it.
Well, you're the one who admires your own boners and no one else will. So I don't know if I want to play your flute, but if you want to come over and play my flute, I'll have it at attention for you.
At attention. Okay.
I was so obsessed with this game when I was younger, I insisted that I owned an ocarina. And I have one. I still have it from when I was a kid.
Fucking nerd. I cannot believe you just said that.
I have it. I'll go show it to you. Do you want me to show you?
Let's see it. Do you have it handy?
I'll go get it. Hang on.
Oh my God. Folks, what a treat. I see Steven in the background. He's getting something out of a plastic bag. Here it is. It looks like a little blimp. What?
Yeah, they've got a weird little shape to them.
Is it plastic?
Yeah, this one's plastic.
Oh, Gracie's got to check it out.
Yeah, I got a bag out now. She's got to investigate.
Steven's cat, Gracie, whom I love more than him. Oh, he's going to play it.
There you go, folks at home.
I got to tell you, Steven's face while he was playing it was the best part because there was a level of concentration, but also like giddy, shit-eating grin on his face while he did it. So I'm going to snap a picture of that and share it.
Please do.
At TennisPod on social media.
My new album's going to launch next month.
My new album. I hear you're opening for Metallica.
It'll be on Spotify. All you Spotify listeners out there who Nick was talking to, make sure you subscribe.
What's the album called? The Vessel Flute?
Yeah. The Vessel Flute at Attention. No, I had a little wooden sword and a little wooden shield and the ocarina, and I had like a slingshot. I had all these little things. I just wanted to be Link when I was a kid.
I mean, you were a little old for that. Wasn't Ocarina of Time like middle school?
I was 8.
No.
1998.
Oh, you're right.
I was 8 years old.
Okay. You were 8. Fine. I'll accept.
Let a kid have some fun. Damn. Fucking phone police over here.
I'm not a phone police, but I am a vessel flute police.
Yeah.
I got to see your papers for that one. Where did you find an ocarina?
I don't even remember. I think my mom might have gotten it for me. I don't know where the hell we got this thing. But it's one of those little things I've just kept.
Hey, do you ever look at your ocarina and sing, "Hey, ocarina"?
Aye. Sometimes.
Okay, let me give you Majora's Mask at number 9.
All right, Majora's Mask at number 9. You got it.
Knew it.
6.79 million. One came out in the year 2000 on the Nintendo 64, and then it was remastered and came out on the 3DS, which is one of the ones that I still own.
I'm just surprised it's so low on the list because they're both N64. They both got re-released on the 3DS, and Ocarina of Time is 2, and this is 9 with half the sales.
I got to tell you, it is shocking how low these sales are because I do feel like it's one of the more like fondly remembered games.
I agree.
But Ocarina of Time, just N64, was 7.6, and Majora's Mask, 2 years later, follow-up to like one of the best-selling games of its time at the time, only sold 3.36. Less than half. Crazy.
I mean, it was about a year away from the next gen, like GameCube, so I don't know, maybe that seems like a lot. I'm stretching there a little bit, but
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. There's no good reason for it, because why would it sell half as much as the critically acclaimed Ocarina of Time? I don't know.
I have no idea. It's very unique, very different, but I thought it was really... You never played it, did you?
No.
The gimmick with this one, no Ganon, and this one, it was this little like scarecrow-looking guy found a mask that made him all-powerful, and he decided to say fuck the world, and he used a spell to pull the moon down.
I like this guy.
And the moon comes crashing down, and it's going to collide with Earth and kill everybody in 3 days. And so the whole process of the game is you have to keep playing a Song of Time to revert back to the beginning of the 3-day process. Really cool, and then you can wear all different kinds of masks and transform into different things. A pretty cool idea, I think. Really fun game.
Getting really advanced for the year 2000. And I wonder, does this have the same kind of style and look and feel as Ocarina of Time?
Yeah, just like Tears of the Kingdom, is basically Breath of the Wild. Majora's Mask is basically Ocarina of Time. It's the same graphic style, same controls, same everything, but the items are different.
Same dick sizes?
Yeah, same dick sizes.
And where does Majora's Mask rank on Steven's personal list?
That one's 5. It's so hard to rank some of these, like Twilight Princess and Majora's Mask. I'm so torn on. Majora's Mask in the long run is kind of short. Twilight Princess is a very big game. I don't know. I just think overall it's probably better, but it's tough. I really like Majora's Mask. I was thrilled whenever they re-released it on the 3DS. I felt like I was waiting for it forever, especially after Ocarina of Time came out, and then they did, and I pre-ordered the Majora's Mask themed Game Boy. Still the one I use. I remember I went home early from work because I knew that it was going to go on sale. I had Target, I had Best Buy, GameStop, Walmart. I had all these websites pulled up, and I was refreshing all of them trying to find one to pre-order, and it went through on Best Buy, and I got it, and then the day it was arriving, I was freaking out at work. Whenever I saw that it was delivered, I left work, drove home to get it.
Steven!
I just told my boss, I was like, I got to go get something. I'll be right back. Had to go get my game.
Fuck, do you know anyone as cool as maybe a 6th grade kid equivalent that could host a show in your place? Because this is a little much for us.
Yeah, it's a little much. Sorry, guys.
Should I tell you what number 1 is?
All right, lay it on me. I'm sure you're going to...
Let me take a big breath here. I don't want to have any wild thoughts that could disrupt my thinking. But I think number 1, the best-selling Zelda game of all time, is Spirit Tracks on the DS.
Yeah. That one sold okay, actually, on its own. That one, it's almost 3 million. Think about that.
Wow.
Spirit Tracks almost sold as much as Majora's Mask.
All right, Breath of the Wild is number 1.
Breath of the Wild is number 1, and it isn't even close. Breath of the Wild has sold 31.5 million copies.
I was thinking you're going to say 20 or something, and you said 31.5. Wow.
31.5. Ocarina of Time was second at 14. So Breath of the Wild, it is just not even close.
That game really took a life of its own, because I remember there was, so I want to say March 2017, which is the same time the Switch came out, because I think it was a launch title for the Switch, and it also came out simultaneously on the Wii U. And I remember the hype for that game being real, and the hype got me to play it as my first Zelda game. I've never seen a game that's so universally loved and no one has a bad thing to say about it as that game.
Yeah. It is crazy how good it is. I still remember they were doing trailers for it, and I've been used to the way Zelda had been, and I think that was a big point. They wanted to reinvent the formula, right? They didn't want to just keep doing the same thing. They wanted something fresh, something new. I remember watching a gameplay, and they were sitting there talking, and they had a screen behind them with the game running, and it looked like a menu screen, like Link just standing there, and you were looking out at the world. And then he just picked up the controller, and then he was like, "Okay, we're gonna start playing now." And it turns out that was the game, and it looked like a menu. And they kept saying you can go anywhere at any time, no loading screens unless you fast travel, but you could anywhere you can see, you can go. You see the peak of that mountain, you want to go there, you can go.
I remember that too.
Most Zelda games have always been progression oriented, you have to do dungeon 1 before 2, then 2 before 3, you have to go in order. And Breath of the Wild was one of the games where you did the tutorial and then it opened it up for you, and you can do whatever you want, whenever you want.
And if you were my dumbass, then you'd go approach an enemy that was way too strong for you at the start of the game and get your ass whooped immediately.
There were some strong enemies, but for the most part, a lot of the enemies scale with you, which is something that I've been begging for Pokemon to do.
Oh,
but
I would love that. I gave up on I think I've told you, but I gave up on Pokemon a few games ago because it got so monotonous and there was no challenge. You just crush every single person you play.
Well, they just keep making it easier. And then Breath of the Wild isn't like that. Breath of the Wild remains challenging no matter what area of the map you go to at any time. And really cool. I mean, no game has ever just let you, if you want to run straight for the final boss, for the first thing you want, you can do that. And that's what speedrunners have done. No Mario game is here, go fight Bowser immediately. But this is you want to go do it, go do it. It'll be hard, but you can do it.
So I'm going to guess Breath of the Wild is number 1 on your personal list as well, right?
It is. Yeah, it's number 1 on my personal list. And That's why I'm pretty sure that Tears of the Kingdom will overtake it as number one. Because Tears of the Kingdom really is Breath of the Wild, just better in every way.
If Breath of the Wild is your number one Zelda game currently,
Mhm.
do you think it's, how close is it to number one on your all-time game of any kind? All games.
Oh, that's hard to say.
Top 10, though, for sure?
Yeah, I'd put it top 10.
Top 5?
I don't know. There's so many different styles of games out there. Smash Brothers has probably got to be on that list, and I also really like Halo 2. I spent so much time on that game. That's got to be up there.
A lot of competition.
It's hard to compare apples to oranges like that, but it's definitely one of my favorite games.
Well, now that I've aced this list, why don't you go back through it for us? Give us the top 10.
All right, folks, here we go. Hold on to your butts. Number 10, except if you're driving, keep those hands on 10 and 2.
I've been holding on to my butt this whole time. You haven't?
Number 10, Legend of Zelda, the original. Number 9, Majora's Mask. Number 8, Wind Waker. Number 7, A Link to the Past. Number 6, Skyward Sword. Number 5, Twilight Princess. Number 4, Tears of the Kingdom, as of today, towards the end of May, 2023. Number 3, Link's Awakening. Number 2, Ocarina of Time. And number 1, Breath of the Wild.
I think for the most part, this list makes sense. There's one or two surprises, but I'd say it makes sense most of all.
It makes sense. If I didn't adjust any of this, and if I didn't add anything together, Tears of the Kingdom would be number 2. It's already the second best Zelda game ever.
Because Ocarina of Time and Link's Awakening, which are the number 2 and 3, those have re-releases. Almost all of the top 10 have remakes. The only ones that don't are the original Legend of Zelda and Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I think all the rest have remakes.
And that's part of what boosts a lot of their sales.
Tears of the Kingdom has not even been out a month when we're recording this. That's insane.
Yep.
Well, Steven, do you feel as accomplished with this list now that it's over as Link does when he finally gets to show his PP to Zelda?
Not even close. I don't think anybody is ever going to peak in their lives like that than getting to show your PP to Zelda.
With Ganon in the corner watching.
Yeah, with Ganon in the corner watching with a camera.
Steven, let's end this with a hot take.
A hot take.
Let's see. 1 year from now, so going into summer 2024, will Nintendo have announced the successor to the Switch by then?
I hope so. I really do.
Yes or no? Prediction. They've announced it. Doesn't mean it's come out yet.
When did the Switch come out?
Spring 2017. So it's been 6 years. What's right around now would be when the next gen typically comes out historically, but I think they're riding the Switch longer because it's doing so well.
Yeah. I want to say yes, but honestly, I almost think the answer is no. And the reason is, they just came out with a brand new Switch model for the
OLED.
They released a new Switch with Tears of the Kingdom, with all the Zelda graphics and designs on it and stuff. And it would kind of be a slap on the face for the people that go out and buy that fancy Zelda console, and then literally not even a year later, come to find out that the next one's coming out and you are already outdated.
Well, you're right. A big corporation would never slap its consumers in the face like that.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't. I don't know. It's hard to say. I want them to. I imagine that if they did, it's got to be backward compatible, right?
I fucking hope so. God, I hope so. I think that should just be the standard going forward in consoles.
I hope they keep expanding on this virtual console thing that they're doing, because they do keep adding games to it. And I hope that every console in the future has access to this virtual console.
I hope so. But when they went from the Wii to the Wii U to the Switch, all three of those had to start from scratch with their virtual console. None of them carried over. So, I don't know. We'll see. But I think we'll be talking about
what
the
do you
Super
think?
Switch. I think they will have announced it. But I think it'll be maybe fall or holiday. I'm thinking Christmas 2024 is maybe when it comes out. And they'll announce it around summer 2024. So about a year from now.
I'll tell you, my Switch is on its last legs. The fan doesn't even work on it anymore. It overheats if I don't do anything. It'll give me a warning and say we're shutting off because it's getting too hot.
Mine's never done that.
I want a new Switch, but I refuse. I don't want to buy the QLED or whatever it is because it doesn't. All it is a better handheld screen, and I don't use the handheld mode.
Well, maybe you would use it more if it was better. And it's bigger too.
I just think you do games like Tears of the Kingdom and Injustice when you don't get to play it on a big screen.
Well, like we said earlier, you're a video game snob.
I don't know, it just seems like you're doing yourself a disservice.
Well, speaking of disservice, I'm going to service the hell out of our listeners' bodies right now by telling
Their
them that
flutes?
I'm going to play their vessel flutes till they're raw. God damn. Just the visual of that. Playing the vessel flute till it's raw. No, thank you. Well, I'm going to do that anyway. To end this episode, Stephen, thank you for bringing your vast knowledge of fictional video game characters to the show today. Letting us in on... I'm sorry, I'm just thinking about how you went home from work early.
Yeah, I was excited.
Yeah. Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
Listeners, if video games ever become real, you're in good hands with Stephen Clark protecting us with his Link sword.
I'll bring my ocarina.
Yeah.
I'll play them
Play his
some
vessel
tunes
flute.
from my new album.
He'll splurge his vessel flute all over their ears.
Oh yeah. They'll like it.
I think we're done here. This has been episode 223. I'll be back next week. Stephen will be back soon. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Bye everybody.
Why?
Why?
If you have T-Mobile 5G home internet, you might be hearing this
Why?
a lot.
Why?
Every time your internet slows down during the busiest hours.
Why?
Why?
Because your network gives priority to cell phone users.
Why?
Good question. Why not switch to Cox Internet with 2 times faster download speeds than T-Mobile 5G home internet during peak hours?
Okay.
Stop the whys and visit cox.com/5G home for details. T-Mobile prioritizes certain T-Mobile phone users over home internet users during times of congestion.
Why?
Why?
If you have T-Mobile 5G home internet, you might be hearing this
Why?
a lot.
Why?
Every time your internet slows down during the busiest hours.
Why?
Why?
Because your network gives priority to cell phone users.
Why?
Good question. Why not switch to Cox Internet with 2 times faster download speeds than T-Mobile 5G home internet during peak hours?
Okay.
Stop the whys and visit cox.com/5G home for details. T-Mobile prioritizes certain T-Mobile phone users over home internet users during times of congestion.